In this video, we're going to continue with citing sources for Essay 4 and looking at some examples of those sources. The previous video already went over how to cite the videos that you might want to use. Again, there's two different ways to cite the videos. Both would be correct. It's however you kind of want to do it and play around with it. So let's go to week 13 here. Week 13, we had the pre-selected sources for the different videos. And I want to look at some examples of those. And let's just kind of start with, is Google making us stupid? We've got an article that we can open up here. And you'll notice that it does give us, it says it's a works cited, but it's not a full citation. It's not a correct citation, especially if we're using 8th edition MLA. It's actually not even a correct edition if we're using 7th edition. It is closer to what the 7th edition would look like. But it's already giving us a lot of the information that we need for a citation of this source. All right, and so I can use this and also go back to my style guide to make sure that I have this information in the correct format and style. I also want to open up a different page of my style guide. If I go down here, if I'm looking at my table of contents, I've got some basic formats. And then I've got books, periodicals, and electronic sources. And all of the pre-selected sources for Essay 4 were found in databases. And so those are electronic sources. Let me pause this video so it doesn't start. Those are electronic sources. And so I'm going to scroll down, and it kind of has some notes about electronic sources, and then it has basic style for citations of electronic sources, including online databases. So then it kind of has the bullet pointed list and how this should kind of look. But if I keep scrolling down, what's really handy is that it also has an article from an online database, and it gives me some examples. So I'm going to keep my my sort of overview of the style of the formatting for those citations, and then I'm going to also look at these examples to kind of make sure I have my periods, commas, italics in the correct places. All right, so the first piece of information, let's just kind of, hey, this already gave us a citation, so let's just kind of see if, oh no, I clicked the hyperlink. All right, so let's just kind of see if we can copy and paste some of this. My copy and paster doesn't work so great when I'm using this recording studio. So here we go. All right, so I go back to my works cited page. I'm going to copy this in. I'm going to make sure that it's in the font that I have it. All right, so then I can kind of compare this information with my list. All right, so here's my just normal list. All right, I'm looking for the author's name. I want to make sure, especially when I'm using generated citations, that yes, it did put the author's last name first. All right, so that piece is pretty good. All right, title of the source. Is looking pretty good. I do want to change this O here because I want to use standard capitalization. Now, when you're using that citation that we copied and pasted from that source, that was a citation that was generated by a citation generator, and citation generators are not as smart as the human brain, and so it won't make distinctions between this is an important word in the title and this is not. And then again, sometimes it also messes up what the author's name is. So is this the author's first name? Is this the author's last name? And it might have those in different orders. So that generated citation for now is actually doing a really nice job. All right, the next piece of information I want in my list is the title of the container. All right, so the container is Mother Jones, which is a periodical publication. All right, I'm going to italicize it. Other contributors, it doesn't list those in my original citation. I might kind of look, I keep hitting the permalink. Sorry. All right, so I want to kind of look, is there anyone else listed who may have contributed to this? It doesn't look like it. Looks like she's it. All right, so I don't need any pieces of information there. The next thing it tells me is that I am looking for a version. All right, and so this is the way that these are cited. It's not totally, oh, wait, I need a comma after my title. It's not super clear, but they are volume numbers, and then this is an issue number. And so I'm just adding those distinctions and separating those pieces of information from each other in that citation. All right, and then I'm also separating them with those commas. So I've got my version, my number. All right, publisher, my citation, generated citation didn't give me a publisher. I should go back to my source and kind of look for that. This is the article. Maybe there's some information at the bottom. Foundation for National Progress. Okay, I can add that. Let me double check though with my electronic sources. When I look at my examples from the MLA for online databases, we've got the author, the title here, we've got the container, we've got volume, issue number, and then it just goes straight to the date. Let me look and see if the other one does the same thing. Yeah, there's the container, there's the volume, there's the number, and it goes straight to the date. And part of this is that a lot of sources from databases are from publications where the sponsor is the same, the sponsor or the publisher is the same as the title. In this particular case, it's not, so I could add that information, but my examples told me I didn't have to, so I'm not going to. I'm going to just keep that, even though I found it and I'm feeling good about that, I'm just going to start following those other examples. All right, so the next piece of information my style manual tells me is that publication date. All right, so this publication date is in parentheses for whatever odd reason, and so I'm going to get rid of those parentheses. After the parentheses, I'm looking for then this location information. And now because this is from a database, there is actually a lot of location information that all gets wrapped up into one. So the first piece of location information that we're looking for is a page number. And my citation tells me that it's on page 5, but I probably want to go back to my source and see if it is a PDF and gives me page numbers. Now this one doesn't, so I'm going to just follow the direction of my generated citation. I'm going to say this was all on page 5. Cool. All right. Then I have the name of the database in which it was found, which is Points of View Reference Center. And that gets italicized because databases are containers. They contain lots of different periodicals that you can look up and find. And then if I go back to my citation guide, I'm still looking at location information. So it might be helpful to look at my examples. So I've got the title of the database. It says provide the title of the database italicized before the digital object identifier or URL address, and then provide the date that I accessed it. All right, so if I go back, this is probably not important information anymore, and it tells me we've got this permalink here. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then again, because I was probably being real on top of things, I probably looked at this on April 12th, so I'm going to do 12 April 2020. All right, so there's my kind of fixed citation. Again, I want to create these hanging indents by hitting enter, then tab. All right, the trick here is to kind of eyeball it, put a space, and then hopefully I can tab this. Yes, here we go. All right, so I've got those tabbed over to create my hanging indent. And then I want to move this because I want these to be in alphabetical order for my reader to be able to find those authors really quickly. So most of those pre-selected sources just have one author. There's a couple weird variations. We've got one in the Why Privacy Matters sources that is called Counterpoint because it does not have an author. And you'll notice that on that citation, the generated citation, that again is incorrect, but it has a lot of the information that I'm probably going to use for my own citation. You'll notice that there's no author listed, and that is correct. You just skip that author information. A lot of students really want to like put in authors or NA, but we just skip that author information, and then that citation starts with counterpoint instead. And then to talk about that source in your paper, you might decide, hey, it's going to be a lot easier to talk about this source if I am not using if I'm not providing a signal phrase, because I don't have a lot of reason to trust the source. I sort of trust it because Ms. Effler gave it to me in the context. But I also maybe decided that I can paraphrase or summarize. Sorry, I can't talk and do these things on the computer at the same time. But that I wanted to paraphrase or summarize that kind of information. And then what would go in my in-text citation or that parenthetical reference at the end of my paraphrase or summary would just be kind of that shortened title. I'd probably do counterpoint legislation and regulation, and that would lead my reader to the source on the works cited page. So I just kind of input this pretty quickly so that you could see that as an example. I'm tabbing all of my things over to create that nice hanging indent here. And then because this starts with a C, I would stick it up at the top of my works cited page. All right, cool. So our works cited page is looking pretty lengthy. Now, again, you only have to have 2 of the pre-selected sources that you use in your essay at some point. So you might just have 2 sources on your works cited page, and that's fine. Mine's starting to look crazy because I'm giving you all of these examples. The last example I want to give you, though, is in the Sherry Turkle sources connected but alone, we've got a source that has 3 authors. So let's kind of look at that generated citation here. There's all kinds of issues with this one. We're going to talk about them and get through it together. All right. So I'm going to use the generated citations. Generated citations aren't evil. We just have to check them with our human brains. Holy cow, this is a crazy. Uh-oh, did I think I got too much. Here we go. All right. Technology is great, isn't it? All right, here we go. Here's our generated citation. So a couple things that I'm looking at already that are wrong with these authors is that they are in all caps. I also am not seeing a comma between the first and last name of this author. So I'm going to go back to my original source and I'm going to kind of look, oh, my citation generator literally just copied this byline here to put in that citation. And so it actually should be Burley, comma, Jasper. And again, I'm making those all look similar. And then I only need the last, I need their first names, but I want to, the other authors are not in first name, last name, the other authors are not last name first, but they are first name followed by the last name, and I'm fixing my capitalization here. All right, so there's my author information looking good. Here we have some other capitalization, standard capitalization.